Hi, thank you for watching Dig into China. I'm Dong Sheng. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. During a speech at the Rice University in Houston, Texas on Tuesday, April 11th, William Burns, the director of the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States, stated that Russia's defeat in the war in Ukraine and the unity of Western countries have eroded Chinese President Xi Jinping's confidence in using force to attack Taiwan, and that a military invasion of Taiwan by Beijing is not inevitable. Burns emphasized that Xi Jinping's perception of the prospects of a successful invasion of Taiwan has been altered due to Russia's setback in the invasion of Ukraine. According to Burns, based on CIA's assessment, at least for today, Xi Jinping and the Chinese military leadership harbor doubts about the feasibility of a successful invasion of Taiwan at an acceptable cost. Xi Jinping has closely observed Putin's experience in Ukraine, and there is perhaps no other foreign leader who is monitoring this process more closely than him. He appears to be more cautious now. While this may have heightened some concerns, it does not necessarily diminish Xi Jinping's long-term determination to gain control of Taiwan. This is another instance where Burns has elaborated on the assessment of China's determination to use force against Taiwan by the U.S. intelligence community. During an interview on the CBS program Face the Nation in February of this year, Burns first disclosed that China had doubts about its ability to successfully invade Taiwan. Burns also highlighted that Xi Jinping has been surprised by the unity of Western countries in opposing authoritarian regimes. He stated, "At least until now, Xi Jinping has been particularly taken aback by the level of unity among Western countries in supporting Ukraine, their willingness to accept short-term economic costs in pursuit of larger interests, and their adherence to international norms that prevent powerful countries from swallowing smaller countries just because they can." During his visit to the Navy of the Southern Theater Command on the same day, Xi Jinping delivered a significant speech emphasizing the importance of conducting military operations with firmness and flexibility, enhancing the ability to respond timely and effectively to complex situations, defending territorial sovereignty and maritime rights, maintaining stability in the surrounding region, and strengthening realistic military training. He highlighted the role of war as a guide for training, the need for in-depth research on warfare and combat issues, innovation in warfare concepts and training methods, strengthening confrontational training, targeted and precise training in key areas, and improving training standards and combat capabilities. Xi Jinping also stressed the necessity to vigorously develop new types of combat forces and capabilities, focusing on high-quality combat effectiveness, promoting the development of new equipment and forces, and expediting the formation of combat capabilities. Additionally, he called for the continued development utilization of military systems, addressing weakness and shortcomings, and overall upgrading of the combat system. These two news items are being shared together because they are inherently linked. The Chinese Communist Party's current military expansion in its foreign affairs is primarily seen in the risky possibility of launching armed aggression against Taiwan. There is also the potential for escalating tensions in the South China Sea and the surrounding areas with neighboring countries and the United States due to disputes over freedom of navigation and territorial claims. Recently, CIA Director Burns has repeatedly emphasized that Xi Jinping is unlikely to use force against Taiwan in the short term. Citing various reasons such as lack of plans or urgency or learning from Putin's lessons, However, the focus remains on whether Xi Jinping will eventually decide to militarily invade Taiwan. During Xi Jinping's visit to the Chinese Navy and his speech while inspecting the Navy, he emphasized the military struggle and the military threat to Taiwan. In my view, Xi Jinping has consistently expressed his desire for reunification and his unwillingness to maintain the status quo in the long term. The official stance of the United States and Europe, with perhaps the exception of French President Macron, is resolutely opposed to any unilateral change in the status quo in the Taiwan Strait. Xi Jinping's hostility towards the West and the mainstream international community is largely motivated by his belief that the status quo should not be maintained, and he seeks to achieve complete reunification of China as soon as possible. This is a viewpoint that Xi Jinping has repeatedly emphasized, the goal of retrieving complete reunification. It is crucial to consider this premise when analyzing the situation in the Taiwan Strait or evaluating Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party. Xi Jinping's strong desire for reunification and the willingness to change the status quo cannot be overlooked. The second point is that, in my view, Xi Jinping has never truly resolved to attack Taiwan. It's not enough to simply focus on Xi Jinping's bluster about the military threats, military exercise, and intimidation in the past 2 years. I've never believed that Xi Jinping has made a definitive decision to use force to attack Taiwan. However, didn't he propose a timetable for military combat preparations? It's possible. This timetable for military combat preparations was not initiated by Xi Jinping. Former party leader Jiang Zemin had already started. The concept of military combat preparations was introduced by Jiang Zemin and continued by Hu Jintao. This concept is a slogan used by the Chinese Communist Party for external purpose, but it is an internal plan to use force to occupy Taiwan. So when Xi Jinping took office, he would naturally continue the CCP's decades-long plan to use force against Taiwan. Therefore, it's unlikely that the CCP does not have a plan to attack Taiwan, and they must have a timetable. A timetable for military combat preparations in order to be prepared to forcibly occupy Taiwan. However, each party leader will adjust this timetable because the strength and the relations between the two sides of the Taiwan Strait are constantly changing. So the connotation and the scope of these military combat preparations are also constantly adjusted. But it's not accurate to say that just because they have a plan for military combat preparations, it's a countdown to attacking Taiwan. This may be a one-sided understanding of the essence of the CCP's military combat preparations. The essence is to enable the Chinese military to possess the ability to occupy Taiwan by force as soon as possible, which doesn't necessarily mean a countdown. The third point is that in recent years there has been widespread speculation in the West that Xi Jinping will soon attempt to take over Taiwan, particularly in 2021 and 2022. However, I personally agree with the perspective of Japanese expert Yasuhiro Masuda, who dismissed these rumors. Masuda argued that it's impossible for Xi Jinping to use military force against Taiwan before completing the 20th Party Congress. Now that Xi Jinping has successfully concluded the 20th Party Congress and consolidated his lifelong dictatorship, he may potentially consider the issues of reunifying Taiwan. Matsuda's accurate prediction contradicts Xi Jinping's urgent and exaggerated behavior towards Taiwan during the 20th Party Congress, which seemed to imply an imminent attack on Taiwan. The subsequent events have validated Masuda's judgment as correct. The fourth comment is that Xi Jinping did not have complete control over the Chinese Communist Party before the 20th Party Congress and was not willing to start a war to invade Taiwan. However, after the successful conclusion of 20th Party Congress, Xi Jinping has become the supreme leader of the CCP, transforming it into the Xi Jinping era. He has strategically placed his trusted allies in key positions within the Chinese government, consolidating his power. With absolute leadership in China, the likelihood of him attacking Taiwan has decreased. While he may continue to make threats, he is unlikely to actually take over Taiwan. This is because Xi Jinping's aggressive stance towards Taiwan and the United States before the 20th Party Congress was part of his strategy to gain power by inciting nationalism, hatred, and fear. The effectiveness of this strategy is evident in the rise of Chinese nationalism among university students. Xi Jinping used propaganda to sell a story to the Chinese people that without his leadership, the world would be chaotic and dangerous, promoting the concept of two safeguards, two establishing to maintain stability. However, now that he has gained power, there is no need for him to continue this story. Initiating a war to invade Taiwan would likely result in counterattacks and sanctions from the international community, posing a threat to his authoritarian rule. As he has worked so hard to obtain his position of dictatorship, he is unlikely to jeopardizing it by taking such risks. Therefore, it is unlikely that Xi Jinping will actually initiate a war to invade Taiwan in the foreseeable future. That is my take. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Just click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you again shortly. Until then, be well.